Well, it's over. Good morning, everyone. Newcastle United have agreed to sell Alexander Isak to Liverpool for 125, 130 million. The saga of all sagas is now officially over. And with 11 hours to go, God, can Newcastle bring in a replacement? And I've fully mixed views on this morning. So we'll talk a little bit about it. You guys can let me know your thoughts and comments down below. I guess it'll be officially over at the end of today. But yes, very late last night, reports coming out that Newcastle had all of a sudden agreed a deal. I've spoke about this for a while. I think it was behind the scenes. I think it's probably been planned for longer than just a day. I think we've probably known for maybe internally a week or so. But we were trying to set up that second striker before we actually allowed the dominoes to fall. Well, I think with 11 hours to go, Newcastle have seemingly taken the decision that they were going to sell him regardless of whether we had a replacement in. But yeah, grab yourself a cup of tea, or as I say, or a can if you need it, and let's talk about it. So, on one hand, like regardless, and I'll come on to the other side of it in a second. So bear with me. A bit gutted, really. You know, he was the guy who wanted to take us to the next level. He is the guy who scored in the Carabao Cup. He is the guy who, took us to Champions League. He's been a great player for us. So with all that in mind, to sell a really good player to another Premier League club's always going to be gutting. However, I think it was out of our hands. Player powers won. Like it's not a good thing. Like for football. Like, what's the point of signing a contract? What's the point of agreeing to join anyone? When a player can just totally down tools, say they don't want to be there, say they don't want to be part of it, and then ultimately get what they want. And people are going to talk about this 150 million. Newcastle sold him for 125, 130. Reports I'm reading this morning are that that Alexander Isak forewent his loyalty bonus. I don't exactly know how that works, but apparently Isak said that he would not take his 5 million loyalty bonus in the hope to push the deal through. So you could argue that 5 million pushes it up to 130 or 135. So we've tried to obviously make it more beneficial to us in that way with a little bit of extra money going out. And look, it's a big fee. Like, you talk about PSR, for a player who is pushing his luck, doesn't want to be here. Eddie Howe's the one who's talking about reintegration, was trying to, in the hope to have him back. Eddie Howe's not spoken to him in about 3 weeks. The owners flew over for a chat with him at his house. It's thought that they hoped that Isak would sign a new deal or that they could try and change his mind. And Isak was like, nope. Not interested. Even if you don't sell me, I'm not going to do it. And clearly, like, the amount of bad vibes has taken over to a point where Newcastle were like, and I think possibly Eddie Howe, like, as I say, Eddie Howe hasn't spoken to him in 2 weeks. You've got a player who you're gutted to lose. Eddie Howe's desperate to reintegrate him, which is obviously a killer. But then on the other hand, you've got a player who's now saying doesn't want to be here, doesn't want to be part of it. Like, what's his actual value if he doesn't play from now till January, and then we'll do the whole saga again in January because he wants to leave then? Like, I've just seen reported this morning that Newcastle wanted out of the soap opera, which is essentially what it's been. It's been a constant day-to-day update on the soap opera of Alexander Isak. And for all intents and purposes, it seems like as much as Newcastle wanted it over, you stay in, you reintegrate and get on with it, is that he did not have the same view. And this would have continued. Like, I've spoken about this before. Every time he scores, oh, well, he doesn't want to be here anyway. Every time he does this, oh, well, he wanted out in the summer. And then the fans chanting his name at the end of the game, get him out. Like, there's just so much going on. I can't see why on both sides of it, why Newcastle have gone, you know what, screw it, we're selling him. But it leaves us in a dangerous position because we have no striker. Well, then again, that's the argument. We didn't have him anyway. Whether we sold him or not, he wasn't going to play. So that's why we've taken the choice. But yeah, player powers won. What's the point of signing a contract if you're just going to bully your way out of it or mope your way out of it in one sense? And as well, you can't also stand at the fact that the media push from Newcastle all summer till now has been, we're never going to sell him, we're not letting ISAK out. Is this why we announced it at 1 a.m. last night when all of a sudden Luke Edwards, who's been the most die-hard, ISAK's never going to leave this summer, suddenly puts out, oh, actually, I'm hearing that they might be willing to sell him. It's like, me thinks that Newcastle has briefed the journalists now that something is going to come. And then at 1 a.m. last night, Newcastle agreed deal with Liverpool. I was in bed. You know, I've woke up this morning, made me a little cup of tea to do a little deadline day update. And I'll be honest, it was not the update I was expecting. I thought we'd reach the point where it wasn't going to happen. There wasn't enough time, but it is. And the big thing is what Newcastle. So yeah. So I've just the three parts of it there. I'm gutted because it's a good player leaving, but on balance, I think it was needed because I just don't want to go. I don't think the club want to go through it anymore. There's too much going on, and player power winning is bad. And then the look for Newcastle's also bad. We're not going to let them go. I mean, this 150 million has been pushed and pushed and pushed. I don't know if Newcastle actually ever said that, but clearly it was a fee that we were hoping to achieve. So now to let them go this close in the deadline, having said we wouldn't do it, and for a lower fee, ain't great. And now, 11 hours to go for Newcastle to try and, I guess, turn this day around. Because that's the thing. If Newcastle do go and get a second striker between now and 7 o'clock, so it's literally 12 hours at the time of recording this video, pushing 11 hours now, can Newcastle go and turn this day around, bring in a Wizza? I really don't know. Wizza went full ISAK yesterday with his statement about wanting to leave, again, player power. Brentford are holding out for 65 million, Newcastle don't want to play it. Nicholas Jackson's become available. He was going to go to Bayern Munich, but it got cancelled because Delap got injured. But now Chelsea have recalled Gooey, the guy who was on loan at Sunderland. So now that means that Jackson can leave. If I'm honest, I'm a bit sick of them players. I'm a bit sick of Wizza's behaviour. And the Jackson one just doesn't excite me whatsoever. Instead, similar to Big Nicky, who was in the crowd against Leeds at the weekend, let's pull something out of the blue. Let's find someone a little bit more unknown. Let's go for it. I mean, one thing I've not touched on there is the PSR side of things. Obviously, PSR has been a massive issue for Newcastle. A little bit of a spin I saw this morning was, well, Newcastle were getting concerned on PSR and that was part of it. I don't know. I think Newcastle are trying to come up with reasons as to why, extra reasons as to why they sold ISAK, to be honest. Oh, well, it was PSR. That's why we had to buckle on our promise that he was never going to go. It was PSR's problem. It wasn't ours. PSR suddenly becomes a great excuse when you need it. But yeah, I think I've said this for a while now. It's like head versus heart. It's what you actually want to come. What you really wanted to happen was for none of this to have happened. But that isn't the reality. That's what I'm gutted about. Like the whole saga is what's gutting. Like the Alexander Isak we knew 3 or 4 months ago is that's the Isak I'm gutted that's leaving. The Alexander Isak now had to go. Like he had to. It was written. The way he's behaved, he doesn't want to be here. He's not had a haircut in about 3 months because he's scared to leave the house. Like all of that going on. That's so. You're talking two different people at this point. I'm gutted that one's left. I'm buzzing that the other one has. But now Newcastle have, as I say, half a day to try and bring in a replacement for him. So we will wait and see. Hopefully I'm back on at 2-3 o'clock later on today for the big breaking news that Newcastle have done it. And I would say that I think Newcastle, my hope is they're confident that they will. And that's why we sold ISAK. If we actually have gone in it totally blind and just sold him regardless, then to some degree I'm still back it because he wasn't going to play anyway. Is ISAK really the Wilson replacement if he's never going to actually play football? Or is he going to play but then he's going to sulk? Because we've seen him do that over the years. Like I'm not going to stop battering him now, but I mean, you know, he didn't want to be here the last few games of the season, and he totally down tools. So if that's the way he was then, what the hell is he going to be like this time around? So I can totally see that side of why Newcastle have just thought, you know what, screw it, take the money, and then hopefully let's spend some of it in the next half a day. Right, guys, that's where I'm going to end it. That is my reaction to waking up this morning and finding out ISAK has bogged off. Thoughts and comments down below. You know what? If you're happy to see him go, drop a like. If you're not, comment down below. Comment down below if you think Newcastle will bring in someone before the window ends. Enjoy your day for what you can. Thanks for watching. A big deadline day. I think something will happen, but we will have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. The end of this, the saga is over. Can you believe it? If you've enjoyed the content throughout the summer window, let me know. I'm a bit shocked, really. But I'm going to stop waffling. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.